2.5 badges, thanks.
What did I do to you?
Wanker!
God be with you.
You see, meine Dame, we aren't idle here. My man trained like that.
Lo, the worth Henry of Skalitz. I'm just holding a discussion with the captain here about his desolate fortress.
That's not how I'd put it. In the end, as mein Großvater said, the strength of a castle is measured by its garrison. And mine is one of the best in the region. What do you say, lad? Am I right?
Your grandfather was right. A castle with a weak garrison is no good for anything. But your men... I'd say the girls from our village would do a better job of defending the place.
What did you say, you bastard? Why don't you show us how it's done, then? Now that we have Großer Meister among us, we should make use of him, shouldn't we?
I'll be glad. I have to find Zizka.
You should get a move on. I saw Zizka next to the stables. There-
How's it going, Captain?
Sehr interessant.
What of it?
Was soll ich sagen? After our lord paid ransom for us to the Scheißkerl Cherton, the Aberwarte, you ought to have a word with our huntsman Dobr. See, someone poached a white roebuck.
White roebuck?
Yeah, and Dobrosh takes it as a personal offense.
What exactly did you...
Just ask him if there's anything new happening in his territory. Oh, yeah. He really... Und das war alles.
All right.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Sacre, what do you want now?
What goes on in the forest, Huntsman?
There are poachers prowling in the woods, a band led by this ginger-headed Mach of Marshowitz. They've been causing trouble for quite some time, but
What happened?
they killed a rare white roebuck that lives. Sir Peter of Pisac put a bounty on their heads. The bounty's yours.
I must say, I've never seen a white roebuck before.
It's an exceedingly rare animal. It was beautiful. Its hide was white as snow. Sir Peter forbade hunting it, but I wouldn't have even if I could. Killing an animal like that is bad luck.
Do you know any more about these poachers?
They're led by some fella called Mach of Marshowitz, and they fancy themselves some kind of a brotherhood. From what I've heard, they showed up in the village below the castle a couple of times trying to sell venison. The guards always sent them packing. Our knacker, Wolfram, was the only one who talked to them.
That knacker, Wolfram, do you think he had anything to do with the dead roebuck?
Oh, he has a dishonourable profession, true enough, and he sells hides and meat wherever he can. But having the gall to work with poachers, he's on thin enough ice as it is, being a knacker and all. If his lordship found out but he might know something.
All right, Hunt.
Excellent. And if you mete out capital punishment on them, every member of that band carries a squirrel tail on them. Probably a badge of their hunting prowess.
Where should I look?
Ah, that's the hard part. I'm sure they have a hideout. If you don't know what to do, you can try to get something out of the knacker.
Thanks for the advice.
God be with you, good sir.
What the fuck was that?
And this scar? It's strange, crooked, like a letter from a fancy book.
This. I fell off the battlements at Laxenburg Castle.
Lord above! From the walls! And were you conquering or defending that castle, sir?
Well, depends on how you look at it. We were storming a wine cellar, you see.
Ah, I do see. Only maybe you shouldn't go around telling people that, sir. It doesn't sound too heroic.
So what? Heroes like to have a drink too, now and again. I've got loads of scars from real battles anyway. Like here, on my other arm. A groom hit me with a crossbow nearby Yichin. The boy was nearly 15. Poor fella.
That's how I lost my sweetheart.
Someone shot him?
No, he shot someone else.
Ah, I see.
And what about your eyebrow, sir? It seems a bit crooked. Do you have a scar there too?
I nearly lost my eye.
Also in battle?
No, I was a lad. I made a bet with some friends that I could run all the way down the Devil's Slope without stopping once. That's what we called this one really steep hill. Once you started down it, you either had to run all the way to the bottom, or tumble all the way there.
And you went tumbling?
I did nothing of the sort. I ran down. But as I was celebrating, prancing about like a deer, I tripped on a root. I landed on my head and cracked it open on a stump. An inch or two off, and I'd have lost that eye.
How are things, Captain?
What do you think? I've seen better days. And you, youngster?
Not so great. I'm feeling pretty battered.
Just wait until you've been through as much as I have.
Nah, don't say that. You still have your strength. A real man of iron.
A damned rusty one, I'd say. But enough chat. I see Jobst has returned to the fortress.
That's why I'm here. They're expecting us. I wanted to take Catherine along too, but she said she'd rather get the horses ready.
She's doing the right thing, and you better run ahead and greet the Margrave. I'll join you shortly.
Are you expecting trouble?
I always expect trouble. Jobst has turned coats more times than I can count. And the way things are these days, I'd rather have horses standing by, even on a visit to my parents.
What about that dry devil of yours? Did you find out where he went?
No, nobody asked him where he was going, but it seems they're hoping it's as far away as possible. I'm not surprised. If I know him, he wasn't the ideal guest.
At least Jobst might know where he is.
He might. To be honest, that's the only reason for talking to him.
Should I really go and see Jobst on my own?
So what? You already know him better than I do. You met him in Ratai. I only know...
All right, but he sent for a...
A bit odd, I suppose. But you must understand, I'm doing this for our benefit. The less time I spend with a Margrave in one room, the better.
All right then. I'll be going then. How's it going?
Sehr interessant.
What of it?
Zum Glück. If you look. Auf Wiedersehen.
So, what's life like here?
What can I say, lad? It used to be better. There was peace and quiet while King Charles was alive. But those sons of his aren't up to much. Warring against each other. They should be ashamed. We're lucky we have Sir Peter. He won't allow us to come to any harm.
What's Sir Peter like?
Oh, he has a heart of gold. God smiled on us when he sent us Sir Peter. But he has a terrible sweet tooth. He eats nothing but preserves and sweet dumplings with curd cheese. And when he does feel like some meat, he demands nothing but chaffinch.
I'm a bit hungry. Do you have anything to eat?
That's not possible. I had you sent breakfast in bed. Susanna was supposed to take it to you.
You wouldn't happen to know where Lord Hinnock of Kunstad went, would you? He was a guest here only recently.
You mean that bony knight? I can't help you, I'm afraid. I don't stick my nose into the Lord's affairs. That... Farewell, you yokel.
What's wrong? Who do you think you are, you beggar?
How are you, dear good wife?
All the better for being greeted so respectfully. But I hope my husband didn't hear you. He's terribly jealous, and he could have you whipped. He's the captain here, you know.
You wouldn't happen to know where Lord Hinnock of Kunstad went, would you? He was a guest here.
I don't know. But I hope as far away as possible. That animal almost raised his hand to the Margrave.
What? How did that happen?
A respectable woman doesn't talk about that kind of thing. But if it hadn't been for my husband, he'd have been at his throat, believe you me.
I beg your pardon, my lady, but I'm asking because I've just arrived and...
If it's mercenary work you're interested in, you'll have to ask.
I beg you...
If it's... you'll... Christ. Just leave already, you scoundrel.
Henry. Where's Captain Zizka?
He got held up.
I received a report that von Bergov's banner is flying in the camp of my dear cousin Sigismund, so I assume the negotiations at Trotsky didn't go too smoothly.
No, sir. I don't have good news for you, I'm afraid.
Well, good or bad, I'm sure you have plenty to report. So what happened with von Bergov at Trotsky?
Bergov had no interest in our message. By the time we finally arrived at Trotsky, he'd already long since made a deal with Sigismund. But of course, he didn't tell Sir Hans and me anything. And on top of that, he used us to do his dirty work. Everything went to hell in the end, and we ended up in a dungeon. Or at least I did. They took Lord Capon away. In fact, that's why we're here. We were following von Bergov's trail.
So I've heard. But I'd be interested to know the details. It's been some time since our meeting in Ratai, and now you appear here by the side of a quite unexpected guest.
An unexpected guest?
Yes, of course, I've heard of Zizka before, and of his unconventional ways of supporting our king. But I don't know where you know him from.
We met outside Trotsky, in rather complicated circumstances. We crossed swords. I can only thank God we didn't kill each other.
And who was giving Zizka orders? Do you know?
I think it's some Jan Sokol of Lamberg.
That would make sense. He was always quite pig-headed.
Forgive me, my lord, but how is it possible you don't know? Aren't you all on the same side?
Bear in mind that my dear cousin, His Majesty King Wenceslas, has many supporters, and each of them has their own ideas about how to defend him.
I understand. It seems complicated.
On the contrary, it's all quite simple. If I could get them all together in one banquet hall, give them their fill of wine and venison, they'd come to an agreement on the spot. Let's move on. I heard something about a pillory and poaching. What in God's name did you and Sir Hans get up to?
Things went wrong right from the beginning. We were ambushed, and we lost the letter. Lord Capon and I were lucky to get out of it alive. But no one at Trotsky believed that we were messengers.
Von Berghoff refused to aid a nobleman in need. That seems pretty low for a man of his stature.
Well, to be honest, Lord Capon didn't really look much like a nobleman. We were ambushed while bathing in a pond, and then we fled through the woods. So we really looked like a pair of beggars.
Ah, that must have been a peculiar feeling for Lord Capon.
Not only for him, sir. I may be just a bastard, but that doesn't mean I'm used to begging at castle gates dressed in rags.
Believe me, I didn't intend in the least to make such an insinuation. In any case, are you sure there's nothing else you want to tell me?
Well, you should probably know that Istvan Toth was working for von Berghoff.
Who's he?
One of Sigismund's cronies. He was causing havoc around Ratai.
Ah, yes. Hanush and Radzig mentioned some such person. They even foolishly let him go.
They had to. They gave him their word.
Yes. Well, it's actually quite heartening that some people still have such naive ideas about the world.
Well, no one let him go this time. He's dead.
Very good. From what I've heard, he was a bandit and a cutthroat. There should be no dealings with his ilk.
Isn't Zhizka a bandit too, though?
Zhizka is loyal to Wenceslas, so he's no bandit or cutthroat, but a faithful servant of our king, carrying out resistance against his enemies. But let's move on. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me?
That's all that happened, sir.
Truly. My court messenger and bearer of tidings, both good and bad, John of Liechtenstein, has mysteriously gone silent. So every piece of information I get now is precious. By the way, you said you were in von Berghoff's dungeon, and I can imagine how they treated you there. Tell me, did you reveal anything?
Well, unfortunately, they got, certain information out of me.
What information?
About Liechtenstein. That he's in Kuttenberg. And what he's doing there. I'm really sorry, sir, but... well, they tortured us.
That is truly unfortunate. But you've nothing to be ashamed of. I think it's too much to expect anyone to hold their tongue under torture.
But Lord Liechtenstein... what if they killed him because of us?
John went straight into the lion's den. He knew the risks. Thank you for the news. You're free to go if you want. But I would be glad if you stayed at the fortress. As soon as it's possible, you can join a legation heading for Rattay. I'm sure you already want to go home.
What? Go home? I can't. I have to rescue Sir Hans. I made a promise I'd protect him.
A noble thought. But you mustn't worry about Lord Capon. I'm sure von Berghoff has him trapped in a gilded cage.
But I made a promise, sir.
I understand, but honestly, Lord Capon is now safer than you or I. The most sensible course now is to wait for the ransom demand.
Margrave.
Ah, Captain Zizka. Henry and I were just discussing Lord Capon.
Yeah, the Margrave thinks he's in no danger, and we should wait for a ransom demand.
As one does.
I wanted to talk to you about something else. I suppose you're wondering why your friend Hinnek, also known as the Dried Devil, isn't here?
Oh, there's plenty of gossip going on around the fortress. You and ps5 refused to grant him asylum.
Asylum is for those in distress, Captain. Hinnek came to burn and pillage. I have quite different plans.
And what might those be, Margrave? Sitting and talking while King